Hi everyone, welcome to Criminology, and good news, it's Friday. I've decided to start doing the top 5 Friday thing that various YouTubers and bloggers and things like that seem to do. So I was going to start that off with my favourite old/rare paperbacks. Here's my stack. Now, the eagle-eyed among you who can count may have noticed there are actually 6 books here rather than 5. I'll get to the reason why that is in a moment. Let me start going through them. So this is not necessarily the rarest books I own, but ones that have I guess, a particular place in my heart. So some of these I've owned for a long time. Many of them, or a few of them, I owned in the past and then parted with and ended up buying again as an adult. But they all kind of date from the 80s, I guess, and from my my teenage years when I was really starting to get into crime and horror fiction. So let me go through them in order. So first one, Deadline at Dawn by Cornell Woolrich. This is a book I came across in my local library when I was a teenager, read it and immediately fell in love with it. So Woolrich is something of an underappreciated writer nowadays, wrote in I think the kind of 20s, 30s, 40s, and turned out a number of really strong kind of noir novels, all of which are definitely worth a read. Deadline at Dawn is probably my favourite. It's just a really tense, kind of set in one night type novel about a young couple on the run effectively. And it's a really fantastic read, and I absolutely love this Ballantine Books edition. There's a whole series with these kind of similar covers, and they're absolutely beautiful. Second book is Ghastly Beyond Belief by Neil Gaiman and Kim Newman. Now, Gaiman obviously is a name that will be familiar to many. This was, I think, his second book. I believe his first book was a biography of Duran Duran, the New Romantic band. Kim Newman's also a really good horror writer, so still writing today. In fact, he's got a new book out from Titan Books, which they've just sent me to review. And he's also an excellent film critic. That's the strength he brings to Ghastly Beyond Belief. So it's a book of quotes from science fiction and horror books and movies. It's very, very funny indeed. Long out of print, well worth tracking down a copy if you're a Gaiman completist, or if you just like funny, trashy old movie and book quotes. Third, right, so this is where we get the 2-for-1. So this is effectively the same book. So Chainsaw Terror or Come the Night by Nick Blake. I'm probably going to do a video about this book at some point, so I won't go into too much detail. But this is a cheap and nasty horror novel that was written under a pseudonym by Sean Hudson early on in his career. Quite sought after nowadays, quite difficult to get hold of because, as Chainsaw Terror at least, it was taken off the shelves. It's probably not quite as gruesome as its reputation might suggest, but it is a really fun read, and I was very pleased to be able to track down copies of it under both of its titles. Next one is Healer by Les Simons. I've now completely forgotten that Les Simons' real name, but actually was a female writer. This is a book, again, like Deadline at Dawn, that I discovered in my local library. I think I checked it out and started reading it and never finished it, and then was reminded of it years later when it appeared on the cover of the Grady Hendrix book Paperbacks from Hell. Subsequently managed to track down a copy for not too much. It does go for silly money on eBay sometimes. It's a really fun giant lizard attacking a desert town sort of book. Lots of violence, lots of sex, perfect pulp kind of horror. And then last but not least, Slime by John Helkin. So this was one where I had to track down this particular edition because the cover was one I remembered fondly from my teenage years. I'll see if you can figure out why. It's a very silly kind of water-based, I think they're kind of jellyfish that come through the pipes and attack people. Helkin wrote a few similar books, all published by Hamlin back in the 80s. They're cheap, nasty, and a lot of fun. Yeah. So anyway, hope you enjoy my first Top 5 Friday. Hoping to do one every Friday. We'll see if I manage to do that or not. If you did like the video, please click the like button. If you liked it and you're not a subscriber already, then if you could subscribe as well, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Cheers. Now, these books are all too lovely to just show you from afar, so I thought I'd give you some cover close-ups. So here is Healer, Bone Splintering Jaws. Here we've got Chainsaw Terror and the reissued version Come the Night. Ghastly Beyond Belief with a particularly cheesy 50s style cover, which I quite enjoy. Deadline at Dawn, a fantastic vintage style, well, truly vintage style because it's from the 80s, but in the 80s, a vintage style kind of 30s cover. And then finally, Slime.